Hi there, it's Ree from Ree Langdon Pilates coming to you with this week's segment on why you need Pilates, why it's going to make your body feel better, be stronger, live healthier. Pilates is all about, like we discussed last week, working from a neutral pelvis, working from your center, finding your center and working from there, which sounds like it should be really easy, but it's not that easy. It takes practice. It takes a little repetition. And so we're going to go over a little bit of what we talked about last week and then add on in this week's segment. So here we go. Neutral pelvis, remember, it's about pulling in front to back, side to side. So we're creating this pressure, this pull from the inside out. And the best way you can feel that while you're standing up is put your hands on your bony hip bones and push together like a superhero. This is my superhero pose. When you're doing your superhero pose, if you do this with enough pressure on your hips, you'll feel your abs just come on in the front, and then you can pull everything in front to back, side to side. I always imagine that Santa Claus sized belt right around my middle, and I'm pulling it tight, tight, tight. That gets my abs to fire. And then we want to feel that as well when we're lying down. So let's do that. So let's lie down. Same thing as we did last week, just to refresh. And you're going to find that same idea of the superhero pose with your V-line pulling in, your ribs nice and flat, your back on the mat, and your pelvis on the mat. And then from here, like I said before, I'll move my arm out of the way. We're going to tip the pelvis up. Remember our pelvic clock. We're tipping to 12, tipping to 6, coming back to neutral, and then 3 and 9. And last week I wore stripes on my pants. This week you may not be able to see. My job is to keep my knees as solid as possible and just move my pelvis, not my feet or my knees. So I'm going to do that again. 12 and 6. The breathing helps. Back to neutral, and 3, there goes my knee, and 9. And then when I've got that down, I'm going to go all the way around in my pelvic clock again, both directions, like we practiced last week. So this week I am going to put my hands down for more stability. Just because I got my hands down here doesn't mean I get to pop my ribs or really grind my head in. I'm trying to be as stable as I can from the crease down here to the top of my head and both arms, everything pressing downward, which you really can't see on a video. There should be some kind of buzzer or detector so you could feel how much I'm pressing down. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to lift up one leg. I'm moving my femur bone right here without moving my pelvis, which again seems like it should be really, really easy, but it's challenging. And that's because what we want to do is arch our back, or we want to roll and follow that leg. So all of the pelvic clock that we worked on has to stay still, pulling from the inside, just like we talked about, to stabilize the spine. And if you want the specific breathing, we're going to do a little inhale, sip of air before we move. Exhale, move the leg. Stop up here, take a little sip of air. Exhale, move the leg. So we learn to do this same thing. Exhale, move the leg. Sip of air at the top. Exhale, move the leg. And we're going to keep doing that breathing. It's a little slow and a little steady, but the breathing actually helps our abs engage. And if that feels like you got that nailed down, then we're going to go here. Now this is even harder because see, the minute I lift my leg, my booty wants to come off the ground. So I'm going to move my arm out of the way so you can see I'm not cheating. I'm going to lower my leg without moving my ribs or my pelvis, and I'm going to lift my leg. That's my range of motion for today. Not very exciting, but it sure is hard work. If I were to go all the way down, see what happened to my ribs? And if I come back up, see what's happening to my booty? So the trick here is to move your legs just as far as you can move them without disrupting anything else. And oh my, this left leg is being a really hard worker to stabilize that whole left side of my body. So now I'm going to fold this leg in, reset, find my pelvic clock one more time. I'm going to lift this leg up and, oh yeah, find the pelvic clock again, because usually that lifts us up out of our neutral. Big deep breath. Exhale to move the leg. This guy's being super helpful to stabilize on this side and lift. Sip of air. Exhale to lower. Sip of air. Exhale to lift. And this does not look like much, but done properly, it is a lot of work. So that's the object for today, is to be able to move the legs without moving the pelvis. You're keeping everything drawn in from the inside. So we are adding on to what we did last week. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I appreciate you being here, and I'll be back next week with another add-on so we keep building our strength as we're lengthening our spine. Take care.